Email marketing is one of the most efficient channels you can use. The problem, of course, is how the hell do you get people to join your email list? Well, if you're an ecom biz, you can just offer a discount. Simple. But what about everyone else? What if you don't sell products? Or what if you do, but you don't want to cheapen them by offering discounts? Well, the good news is there's a whole heap of other list building techniques that you can use. You just need to know the best ones for your particular business and how to use them. For example, I was chatting with a consulting client a few years ago to help them get more email subscribers. Their issue was they were stuck at around 3,000 subs for about 9 months or so, and they couldn't seem to grow past that point. I gave them some advice and they hit 10,000 subscribers just 3 months later. Exact same traffic, just converting it better. The good news is I'm going to give the same advice to you. So in this video, I'm going to show you a step-by-step process to go from 0 to 10,000 subscribers, starting with the low effort, easy wins that most people miss or mess up and how to use them properly, the single method you can use to drive 80% of your leads that almost no one uses, as well as some more advanced methods that can also help drive sales. Sound good? All right, let's kick this off with the easy wins. Your homepage will almost always be one of the highest visited pages on your website. No joke, but even if someone finds you from another page first, they'll often check out the homepage to learn more about you and your website. You've probably done this yourself multiple times and not even thought about it. The thing is, most websites don't have a call to action on their homepage, so they miss out on a whole bunch of potential leads. It's kind of like owning a store in a shopping mall. When your homepage is the window display, the audience can walk past and see what you're offering, but the doors are locked, so they can't come in. And it's madness, right? Now, some websites do have a call to action. However, even these usually get it wrong. For example, as you can see on this website here, they've got a call to action to sign up for their newsletter. The idea being that they will then send you articles and tutorials. The issue, of course, is that not everyone cares about your future guides because they've got no idea what these will be. Even if they love your old stuff so far, there's no concrete incentive between what they're struggling with right now and what you're going to send them in the future. That's why this kind of generic newsletter offer usually converts at around 1 to 2% of the people who will see it. Again, it's better than no offer. However, an easy way to improve this is to instead offer something that solves a problem, usually an immediate first step that the coldest of your audience struggles with. So in this case, the site teaches you about link building and SEO. People visiting there for the first time are probably just now learning about what this topic is. A guide on how to get your very first 10 backlinks in the next 60 minutes would convert way higher than a newsletter, probably 10 to 15% or more. Super simple. So once you've done that, the next thing you need to do is to add lead magnets. These are content bonuses that you offer your audience in exchange for their email, kind of like what we just did on the homepage, but for different pain points that the audience struggles with. These can be PDFs, checklists, all kinds of things. So for example, if we use that SEO site again as our inspiration, then we can map out the major pain points our audience has and make those lead magnet offers to fit. So we already have the first 10 backlinks offer. So some others could be how to measure your SEO results so you know that it's working. You know, that's a common issue. How to get even more powerful backlinks, how to do cold email outreach that works, how to get guest post positions, things like that. Basically just providing the common things that you know your audience wants. Then you can simply offer them in the sidebar of your blog, in a header bar, or in exit intent pop-ups so that they show up when people are about to leave. This way you might still capture the email when these appear. However, talking of pop-ups, just don't add them to weird scrolling ones that appear halfway through reading something, especially if it makes you jump all the way back up to the top of the page to click off of it, and then you've got to scroll back down to where you originally were. These suck, and pissing off your audience is a great way to lose them, not convert them. So, speaking of conversion rates, you're looking at around 5% for your average lead magnet. However, you can get them higher if the pop-up shows up on pages that have similar overlap, because the audience is more likely to be interested in them. For example, if you had a guide on backlink methods, and then a lead magnet pops up on how to email people better so that you can get links, it's more likely to convert than a lead magnet which was how to measure results, because they overlap. That makes sense, right? The added beauty of lead magnets is you can have relatively low content on your site and still convert, and they're fairly evergreen, so you make them once and that's it. However, if you are doing content marketing, then you need to use this next method because it blows everything else out of the water. So I invented this method a few years back as a combination of a few different techniques, and it works insanely well. No joke, but my lowest conversion rate with this method is 15%, and my highest is 83%, and no, that's not a typo. That meant 83 out of 100 people who saw it opted in. If you have content on your website and you get traffic, then you could use this method and nothing else and hit 10,000 email subscribers easily. In fact, I'm pretty sure that the case study I shared earlier only used these first 3 methods that we're talking about so far. Anyways, let's get into this one. I call it the hyper-specific offer, and here's how it works. The key thing to understand with getting people to opt in is that the more that they want the thing you're offering them, the more likely they are to say yes and opt in. Simple, right? Makes sense? We've actually seen that to some extent with these other methods that we've already covered. They convert, but not super high unless we can be more specific to what they want in that moment in time. We know the homepage can work better if it's a specific first step. We know that lead magnets can work better when they pop up on pages that are similar to the topic that the audience is reading, etc. Hyper-specific offers are the exact thing your audience wants, exactly when they want it. All they are, really, is a lead magnet. But they're unique in that they are created for just one specific article on your blog, and they're designed in such a way that they help the audience with the most immediate action that they want to take. So why do this? Sounds like extra effort, right? Well, think about it for a second. The only people who are reading your articles are those who are already interested in the topic. That makes them pretty warm leads. However, by the time they finish reading, they're usually even more interested in that topic and they want to take action. The problem, of course, is that most content doesn't give these readers an action to take. We just treat articles as a way to get traffic, and that's crazy. Why? Because you just warmed someone up and now they want to do something, but you left them hanging. So what do? They get all excited, they Google the topic, and then they land on another blog. You warm them up only to let them go somewhere else. But what if you gave them the exact hyper-specific action that they want to take? Well, then it would convert like you wouldn't believe. So for example, I was chatting to a student of mine today, and he has an article about how to sort out your credit issues, if you've got debt and things like that. The article walks you through the main steps, and one of the first roadblocks is calling up and setting up debt repayments and negotiating a better repayment rate. The thing is, his article doesn't actually cover how to do this. It's just a step in part of a much larger guide. However, because it's such an integral thing, the vast majority of people reading this will see it as an early action they need to take and want to do it, but have no idea how to. So if he offered a bonus that shows them how to do this, it will smash the current opt-in rate because the bonus is the next immediate thing they want to do. Super simple, right? But for an article with a few thousand readers per year, this is a huge volume of leads who are super warm and highly interested in what you're selling, who are going to convert. Bonuses are not that hard to make either. They can be a short checklist or PDF, some kind of screen grab or selfie video, depending on the industry. Honestly, the smaller and more actionable, the better. But the trust and authority you build from this method is fantastic, simply because you're just adding more value that you give to your audience. The only issue with this method is you need to be doing content marketing for it to work as the offer connects with the content. There's also a few steps involved to set it up. You need to figure out what the audience wants, although you can use AI prompts to figure this out, and you need to design the bonus and call to action image to get them to click and opt in. I actually have a mini training program on it below that teaches you all this step by step if you want to check it out. Honestly, if you're doing content marketing or plan on using it to scale up in the future, then this method can help you convert far more of your audience than you thought possible. Not only that, but it can actually make other channels more effective also because your content is doing more heavy lifting. So for example, I used to run paid traffic to one of my articles a few years back, simply so I could get it in front of more readers who had never heard of me before. However, I didn't want to just eat the ad cost, just pay for it with nothing in return. So I added a hyper-specific offer to the article. It converted so well that it was costing me around 20 cents per lead in an industry where, $5 to $7 per lead is considered a good price. Better still, for every $1 I spent, I would eventually make $22 back promoting offers, etc. via email. It's honestly insane how well this method works, even for low traffic blogs. I recommend trying it out and throwing it on the top 3 traffic pages on your site. You can test it out in under an hour or two. However, there are a few other methods we can use to collect optins, so let's get into those also. As you know, not everyone who visits your site is ready to become a customer right away. In fact, they only make up a small percentage of your audience. That's why we usually use content and email marketing to help move them along. However, you can also use mini courses to do this and collect the email. Basically, you create a course on a topic, normally around the major steps your audience has to take to achieve something. This course then adds a lot of value and authority, but it can also help you turn them into the ideal customer in the future. So for example, let's say you're a mortgage advisor and you help people get into their first home. You make a commission when they use you to get a mortgage. Simple. However, the issue, of course, is that first home buying is really confusing. There's a lot of questions and steps you need to do first. So by creating a course on this, as well as how to get past each step, you'll not only get the opt-in, but you'll help move them towards becoming a customer and eventually getting a mortgage with you. Super smart, right? You can even use these mini courses to replace the homepage opt-in, assuming the first lessons actually cover that initial first problem that the audience has. However, these do take time to make, and not every industry can apply these. It's usually service or education type companies. That's why I don't recommend them for everyone, nor do I recommend making them early on when there are other easier options you can do first. But if you have the option and you've done everything else, it can be an easy long-term win because you'll be making customers months later that you wouldn't have had before. Not only that, but a mini course is pretty much evergreen and you can set it and forget it. Okay, so these last two methods are mainly for companies that either provide a service or sell a digital product, especially if it's high ticket and costs a lot of money. The only issue with them is they're not that scalable. However, they can make sales from the people who opt in. The first option is to offer an audit or a consultation for free in exchange for someone's email address. During the call, you help them analyze the issues that you promised, and you align with the services you provide. This showcases your skills and your expertise. I'll be honest, very few of your audience will ever opt in for these, normally around 2%. It's not really an email capture method as such on its own. It's more of a sales technique. You see, the people who get on the call to see these things, they want to see what you can do, and they're more likely to buy right there and then. They just want their final questions answered. The issue with this method is it's not scalable. You take the call with a single client at a time, and you need to be there obviously live for the call to go through and analyze and consult. So another similar method with more scaling is to run a webinar. Basically, you can teach a workshop or offer some kind of help for 30 to 45 minutes to help showcase your expertise again and help get the people past a problem. You won't get huge sign-up numbers, but the people who do are very close to buying and they just have final questions. The beauty of these is you can do one-to-many. You can speak to multiple people at once live on that webinar. Again, though, you do have to do them live if you want to convert. Opt-in rates for these used to be sky high, but it's kind of dropped off in recent years because people can't be asked to wait X number of days to turn up and watch it live. They want it now, not tomorrow or next week. That and the fact that they might wait only to watch a pre-recorded sales pitch kind of stings. However, if you do run them live, add value, answer questions, you can make a lot of sales from those leads that turn up. You just won't get a huge volume of leads with either of these methods. Like I said earlier though, you can pretty much just use the first 3 methods in this video and easily scale to 10,000 subs simply because you're making all traffic to your site now more likely to convert. The key, of course, is to get them set up correctly. So check out the link below to learn how to make those hyper-specific offers. Then watch this video next to learn how to get more traffic from Google using some handy AI prompts.